Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about top 10 iOS interview questions and their answers. So optional allows you to write flexible and more safe code. Okay. So optional means that the particular value, that particular variable or variable, it can either be null or it can have some value. Okay, so even if you assign, if you create a variable with optional, uh, then you can assign null to it. Okay, and it won't break your code. So yes, it can either be null or it can have some value, so it is an optional. So double question mark is for options, okay? And as we talked about, it can be null, option can be null and it can be a value. So what double question mark assures is if it is a null, we will say that if it is a null, it can have some default values. So double question mark provides a default value for a variable which can be null, okay? So it says, hey, it's nothing here, then use this value, okay? So if this variable has null, then why don't you use this as default? Okay, so it is similar to saying that if x is not equals to null, then what it would be. So what it does is it first checks if return value is null. If it is indeed null, then it presents the default value. Okay, so if the value is null, then it presents the default value. So without double question mark, we used to do it like this. If a is not equals to null, then we will give value of a for force unwrapping, and if it is a null, then we'll give b value, some b is a default value, okay? And with double question mark, you can just write it in very short, like it's shorthand, okay? So a double question mark b. So if it has a value, then it will unwrap it and give you the value. If it does not have a value, then it will give you a default value. Cool. Optional chaining. Optional chaining is very important question, okay? And it is being asked a lot these days. I have been asked this question like multiple times. So optional chaining, it's nothing. It's very simple. It is a way of retrieving value from the chain of optional values, okay? So it could be multiple optional values and you are getting, it's a chain of optional value and you're getting value. If it's a chain of optionals and you're getting values out of those optional. So that is why it is called optional chaining, okay? So optional chaining allows you to fail gracefully when you try to access a property of an object which is null, okay? So property of an object, if it is a null and it could be a value, then it means it is an optional, okay? So when that kind of scenario comes, it means that we are getting value out of an optional chaining. So let's see an example. Let album equals to album released year 2006. It could, and if we want to cast it to upper cast, and then we will say question mark. The question mark says that it is an optional chaining, okay? So if this value is null, then the uppercase will not be executed and will not give null. It will not, your code will not crash over here if this value is null. So that this is what optional chaining does. So optional chaining can be as long as required. So for the same thing, you can say question mark some optional value, question mark some optional value, question mark whatever. Okay, so it can be as long as it is required. Okay, so note that there is a question mark in there, which is the optional chaining. Everything after the question mark will only be run if everything before the question mark has a value. So if it does not have a value and it is a null, then optional chaining will break and it will not continue to try to access the value of anything which is behind, like after the question mark. So yeah. Optional binding, okay. Optional binding is so you know how we have values and how we unwrap those values. Some people do it like force unwrap it. They use that exclamatory mark and then they try to force unwrap it. The problem with that is if the value for that optional is null, then your code will crash. So to save yourself by that, if you don't want to your code to crash, then you should use if let condition while you're unwrapping your optional. So optional binding is a way to unwrap your optional with if let conditions. Okay, so here we have an example. If let constant name equals to some option value and then some statement. Okay, so if this optional value has some value, then we'll have that value in the constant name, and then you can use it in this block of the code. Okay, and if it does not have that, then it wouldn't even come here. It will go in the else block, whatever, if you want to handle that as well. Okay, delegate versus notifications. Very good question. You'll be asked this question a lot. It's very simple. So delegate it is for communication. It's for one-to-one communication, and notification is one-to-many communication. So delegate, you use it using delegates and protocol. You define the protocols, and then you use the methods of that protocol in the class, which is inheriting that protocol. And the notification is like notification center. You can write your notifications, and it's like one to many. So every time that particular notification is being notified, we can execute some task. So it is like one to many communication. So notification center is being used for one to many communication, and delegates will be used for one to one communication. Okay, class versus struct. Very, very, very widely used question. Asked question, I'm sorry. So if you are sitting in an interview and there is a written test, and maybe it is optional written test, like you will be given some options. So this is very common. They ask this question a lot. So trust me. So class is a reference type, means any changes in one reference will affect other references as well. Okay, so reference type means any changes in one reference will affect other references as well. Whereas struct is a value type, means changes in one value will not affect others. Okay, so it's totally opposite. So we have an example. So let's say we have a class, some class, and the variable is name variable, and in our init we are assigning the variable. Okay, now we create an object of that class, where a class, some class, name Bob. Okay, and then we create one more variable, b class, and then we assign that, like we now assign the reference of a class to b class. Okay, and now b class dot name equals to Sue. So Sue is so for B class it is Sue, but as you know that reference type, any changes in one reference will affect other reference as well. So here we have assigned B class with A class. So if we change the B class name to Sue, then A class name will also be changed to Sue, even though we have set it to Bob. So that is why when you print A class dot name, that will also be Sue, and B class dot name will obviously be Sue. Okay, so reference type means any changes in one reference will affect other references as well, whereas a struct is totally opposite. So same thing, instead of class we have just written struct, and over here when we create two objects, the first one, A struct, is the name is Bob, and then we assign A struct to B struct, and then B struct is changed to Sue. But value type will not affect the others. So our A struct dot name will remain same to Bob, where our B struct dot name will change to Sue. Okay, this question was asked to me in a written test in an optional format of questions. Okay, I've been asked this question like 2-3 times in written test. So if you select wrong answer for this, they will not let you go in the next round itself. So this is very important to get this cleared, right? What is struct and what is class and the differences. Enum. So enum is like group of related values. Okay, so whenever you want something which is very much related and it is just values, then you can use enum. So enum, here I have used for door. So enum door used, there could be case like front door, back door, side door, garage door. So this is how you this is the syntax of enum. Enum, the enum name. So here my enum name is door used, and then curly braces, and then you have case front door, then back door, side door, and garage door. You can write it in one line, and you can write in multiple lines. So if you're writing in one line, you have to separate it by commas. If you're writing in multiple lines, you don't have to. Like, commas is not important. So enum, there is one more thing which is called raw and associated. So you can assign raw values to your enum. Okay, so here I'm assigning integer values to my enum direction. So I have an enum direction, and then colon int. So it says that my enum will be of int type, and then case up equals to 1. So when you say case up is 1, case down will automatically be 2, case left is automatically 3, and case right is automatically 4. You don't have to define it every time, like equals to 2, equals to 3, equals to 4. It is like this. So once you say 1, the below values will be increased by 1, like 2, 3, 4. Okay. Associated is like passed values. So passed as a parameter to an enum. Okay. So you can the syntax of that is like this: enum example association. This is my enum name. Stupid, I know. And then case name, in the brackets you can say string. So this name will accept enum names of type string. And then case num, it can have 3 type of integer, like 3 integers, like int, int, int. So this is also very useful. So guard, it provides early exit. Okay, so and does not allow any code if condition is not true. So it is like if else condition, but it allows early exit. Okay, so over here we can see the syntax of guard. So guard is guard, guard let name equals to name field. So I have some field, text field, name field dot text. So if I have that value, if that value is available, then I assign it to name. Else I will just say no name to submit, print, and then return. So if there is any name, then we'll take the name and we'll continue to use it. And if there is no name, then we'll just print no name to submit and return. And there's one very good point of guard is, even after this block of code, like the curly braces, and after the curly braces also, you can use this variable name, a constant name over here, right? You can use it. Okay, you can use it after this block also. Okay, so if else, you can, if it is in the block of if else, you can use it in the block of if else condition only. But if with guard, you can use the variable or constant name after the condition as well. So that's very good. Differ. So differ statement is used to execute a piece of code exactly before the execution departs the recent scope. So let's say you're writing a function, and in the function you want to make sure that this particular code is being executed no matter what. No matter what happens, this particular code has to be executed. So that particular code can go into differ block. So differ block is the block of code which gets executed no matter what. Okay, so differ statement is executed after the return. Okay, so it is executed at the end of your function execution. Okay, so as we know, return is the last statement of any function. So if you have written differ will be executed after the return. So it is the last block of code which will be executed in your function. Differ statement is executed no matter how you exit. Okay, so no matter how you exit, differ statement will be executed. Syntax of differ, let's say differ example. I'm written first statement is print beginning, some var value string, and then differ, it's a block of code. So you just say differ brackets, like curly braces. I'm sorry, it will be small, very small cases. It will be all small cases. Okay, not capitals. So differ curly braces, if let v value end execution of v, and then we assign value to differ function and print ending. So output of this above example, first will be printing beginning, because the first statement. Then you might think that differ will be executed, but as we talked about, even though differ is written in middle of the function, but will be executed at the end. So the next thing will be executed is value. Value will be assigned to differ function, and then we'll print ending. So after beginning, we'll print ending, and then we'll come back to differ, and value is differ function. So we will be differ function, and then we'll print ending execution of differ function. Okay, so differ is something which is executed at the end of any function or whatever block, in whatever block you're writing. Automatic reference counting and retain cycle. So what is automatic reference counting? ARC is Apple's way to handling memory management for us. Okay, what it does is, for each object it keeps a count of how many strong references are pointing to that objects. So for each object, ARC will keep a count of how many strong references are pointing to that particular object. And as long as there is a single strong reference pointing to that object, the object will stay in memory and it will never be null. Okay, so as long as it has a strong reference, it will never be null and it will stay in the memory. So for example, let's say I have a person class, and there is a camera class, and then phone class, and a MacBook class. Okay, and these class can have strong reference pointing back to the person class. Okay, so ARC is going to say that the count is 4. So even if we try to make person class equals to null, to try to get rid of the person class from the memory, ARC reference count will not allow it, because person class have strong reference count, like 4 strong reference count, so it will never allow it. Okay, so this is what is called, this is the issue which we call it retain cycles. So the objects will stay in the memory forever if it is in the state, in the strong reference state. So how do we fix it? We fix it by making those references to weak reference. Okay, so change those strong reference to weak reference, and your objects will be deallocated as soon as it is done being used. So yep, so this is my first part of iOS interview questions. I'll be making videos of, like, I'll be making many other parts, and in each part we'll discuss iOS interview questions. So if you like the video, subscribe, like, comment, whatever you want to do, and just keep an eye for the next part. Okay, bye bye, thanks for watching.